But women, especially, we are such cyclical beings. And so if men are the sun, let's say, women are the moon. So men are the same every day. They run on a 24-hour hormonal cycle. So their highs and lows, their ups and downs, all of it happens in one day. Women are different every day. We are like the moon. We're slightly different every day, and we are absolutely different week to week to week. And so knowing this, again, that power of self-awareness, knowing this allows you just to have an extra superpower tool in your toolkit to navigate yourself.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much for joining the Darren Well podcast. I'm so glad for you to be here today. I'm excited for you to share more about wellness. I'm more excited for you to share more about identity and self-worth and how to live in alignment with your truth. And so Amy is as a director of the group coaching at Next Level University. She's a professional speaker, an event coordinator. She's an MC. She's a Next Level certified personal development coach. Lots of things. She's doing has many hats. So glad to have you, Amy. So thank you so much for joining the podcast. Can you share a little bit about your bio, all the things that I left out, and so much more in between, and then your why?
Oh my goodness. Well, Rita, first of all, I'm so excited to be here. We got to chat behind the scenes for a second, and I love what it is that you do, and I love what you're bringing into this podcast to expand on what you do for people in person. So I think that's really, really beautiful. I'm so excited to be here. I am Amy Lenius. I work with an incredible team in an incredible company and partner with Next Level University, and they're down in the States. I'm actually not sure where you are. I'm in Canada, and they're down in the States, and we get to work together, which is really lovely, the beautiful thing that is online work nowadays. And it started honestly with me just coming in and asked to be their MC for their live event. I was coaching with Kevin and Alan at the time. Alan was coaching me in business, and Kevin was helping me with my podcast at the time. And I was doing a lot of public speaking on women's health. And I got to send one of my favorite keynotes that I got to do to Alan. And he had very beautiful feedback to give me. And he said, you know what, would you ever think about coming and doing the MCing for us at this event? And it just proliferated from there. I went from being a very avid community member to going and helping them with their live event to now I not only get to speak at the live event myself as well as MC, I get to help them run group coaching, which is one of my favorite things. We have that tonight after this, actually. I get to run my own coaching program through them and through this business, and it's connected me with just so many incredible people. And before all of this, I was working with women mainly on their hormones, their health, their natural wellness journeys. I have a background in anatomy and physiology, and all of that stemmed from my own female chronic illness growing up that I was able to persevere and heal from myself. And so it's actually been quite a long journey to get to where I am, but this is the most beautifully aligned space that I have ever been in. It's allowed me to combine everything that I have learned up to now and not only bring it into this space, but expand on it with what NLU had to teach me, what Alan and Kevin have had to teach me, and how I can see where all of it is so valuable, not only in my own life. I can look back, hindsight's always 2020, but all the things we do now, I can see where there were gaps in my own healing and growing, where there were gaps in what I was trying to help women with as far as identity level, self-belief, self-worth. And now I just get to bring all of those things together that I have combined over decades of doing this kind of work. But yeah, it is genuinely one of the most beautiful things I get to do. My why is because I deeply believe in not only turning pain into passion and into purpose, which I believe I did and have now expanded on through my own healing journey and now my own mental healing journey and things, but it selfishly taps into this service part of my heart, who not only want to see people grow and thrive and expand, but to live in their version of success, their version of alignment. And I deeply believe that those are subjective words. It's so different to everybody what that means. And to empower people with the fact that not only is that okay, your version of success, not only is it okay, it's totally achievable. And we can expand on it. We can hone in on it. We can build you up into the person that you need to be to achieve that success. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on, but we're going to go. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing your why. Yeah, you wear many, many hats, but thank you for sharing your why, which kind of leans into our conversation today. So, today, talking about your Darren Well story. So, walking through different health challenges and learning how to rebuild your identity. What was the hardest part for you when you think about some of those messy middle challenges of life?
The hardest part was to keep going even when it sucked. On
Oh,
those
yeah.
really low times when you're like, gosh, nothing is working, but it just needed more time.
Yeah.
And you can get really impatient on journeys like that, and it can get really frustrating, whether it be with a health journey or even just a self awareness personal development journey. There are hard days. There are some really hard days to push through. And I genuinely believe that that is a part of the journey. So if you are having hard days, I mean, welcome. It's so normal. And it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It doesn't mean that this journey isn't for you. It actually probably means you're doing something right. Because when we're trying to do actual identity work, actual healing, actual growth, it's not always motivating and sunshine and rainbows and light and love. And that's part of it for sure. But sometimes it's really mucky and really hard. And there were some hard days when I was very sick that I didn't feel like anything I was doing was working. But the crazy thing about a physical health journey is your body starts healing things that it knows are more important than what you subjectively thinks needs to be fixed. So it
Yeah.
kind of goes from the inside out. So you may be still dealing with your symptoms and things, but things are slowly happening on the inside to heal and to expand outward as it has or as it takes the time it needs to do so. And I know nowadays we are into fast overnight success. This is the one thing you have to do to heal, to change, to grow, to succeed. Nope. I would
Not
love
so
to
much.
give you, oh, it was just this one food. It was this one supplement. No, it was a decade. It was time. It was effort. It was, yes, shifting my diet and my physical habits, but it was also changing my external environment to be more aligned with my health goals, understanding that my internal environment interacts with my external environment and vice versa, and that my internal environment is this unbelievably complex community that works together. It's not just about one piece at a time. And so learning really helped me diving deeper into education, understanding, and making sure I was taking care of my health mentally and emotionally along the way as well, because all those journeys are always intertwined too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing a little bit of the messy middle. And so when you think about the pivot, like when did you decide like, hey, I'm sure it wasn't an overnight like decision, like it was one of those moments where you're like, hey, this thing happened. Was there a pivotal moment for you when you think about your healing journey, your identity, your self-worth, like making that shift?
Yeah, I can think of two. So I struggled all through teenage years, late teenage years into my early 20s, lots of surgeries, lots of doctors, lots of medications, lots of different hormone therapies, different painkillers and things like that. And in my early 20s, I was still struggling with a lot of symptoms, daily pain, just struggling. And I was like, gosh, I'm doing all of these things. I'm taking all of these things. Something should be working. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm getting side effects from all the things that I'm taking. It's like, let's take a breath. Let's go off of everything safely and let's start again. Let's see what was working. If it was working, great, we'll keep it. If it wasn't, let's let it go. And I just had a moment of clarity where it's like, I need to get to know my body again outside of all of these things that I've built up in my system as far as medications and other interventions. And so that was the first one. And it was really neat, actually, because the pain was the same. I was already dealing with the pain, that didn't matter. But to see certain areas of myself come back to life and to be able to leverage those to double down on the things that were actually struggling outside of all these medications. And so that was really powerful. And I just got to go explore. I got to get curious about what could help me, what didn't. I got to try all these different modalities of wellness. Again, there's so many things out there. If one thing doesn't work for you, it does not mean the next thing will not. There's so many things, even you know this in therapy. There's so many branches of therapy. You know, if one maybe isn't the one for you, there's other ones that we can tap into and do, and different modalities and different techniques that we can do. There is not one size fits all in wellness in any shape or form. And so I got to discover that, and I got to find, practices and people and treatments that aligned with me versus the ones that I was always just kind of told were the only option. So that was really neat.
Yeah, that's powerful.
You asked, I had two. So the second one was I got to a certain level of healed for a while there where were able to get pregnant with my first son, which was really beautiful. I was told I wouldn't be able to have
Oh,
children. And so I was able to have my first son, and then I got really sick again afterwards. And it was not only my condition, then something happened even more so. I had a cyst explode on one of my ovaries and it didn't close and it caused an internal bleed. And no one would take me seriously for the first few hospital visits because I already had a diagnosis of something else that caused pain. So it's obviously that. But that was the moment where I realized, okay, yes, you have a professional background in medicine, but I know my body best. I know what feels right. I know what my normal pain is. This is not my normal pain. And so it really taught me that next level of just self belief, self advocacy, and how we do know our bodies best and we do need to fight for those feelings. And so that taught me that there because I almost died because they wouldn't take me seriously. And eventually they did. I got rushed into surgery and I was, near death. But that was the second one where it was like, okay, I need to double down on trusting myself because I knew there was something wrong and I should have pushed harder for it the first couple times.
that is that's scary.
It
That's
was.
so
It
scary.
was scary. The surgery went well though, and they went in there and did everything else that my other surgeons had done for me previously to help me, get on the road to healing. And I was able to have my second son after that
Yay.
and doubled down on my healing and became pain free not too long after.
Wow, wow. So the work that you do is deeply personal,
Yes.
deeply meaningful. I love how you said earlier of just thinking about the hard days, and I love how you said welcome. And I just kind of chuckled because, like, welcome to the club. This is what the human experience is. It's, as you said, it's not rainbows all day, every day. No relationship, no job, like, nothing is that way. And so normalizing the hard stuff, but also how do you live through it? Live well. And so like taking ownership of your health. I
Mhm.
love the way that you share that personally. So as you think about I know you mainly work with women, but also as you think about even the guys that you work with and you coach, how do you help your journey and use that as momentum to kind of shift them into becoming who they need to be with their identity, aligning with like their goals, their purpose, their self-worth.
Yeah, we begin with that. We begin with self-awareness. I want
Mm,
to know what your core beliefs are, what your core values are. Do they align with your core aspirations, or is there a mismatch somewhere that's keeping you from one or the other? We deeply dive into self-belief and self-worth. So I like to assess that pretty early on with the people that I work with. I want to know what their levels are. If we can just give a 0 to 10 kind of scale, what is your general level of self-belief? Because we all have higher self-belief in certain areas of our life versus others, right? I have high self belief in my ability to speak and add value. I have low self belief in going down the hill on a mountain with skis. That would be a disaster. Very low self belief. Probably won't try it. High self belief I can be here, right? So it is situational, but just in an overall competency level, self belief, the proper term is self efficacy. It's what you believe you are capable of. How confident do you believe you are, especially in the external world? What do you believe you can achieve externally? So, what is their level of self belief? Start there. And then we want to build it because self belief is foundational for everything. It's foundational for your self worth. It's foundational for your ability to be consistent, for you to just go and achieve and take messy action and embrace progress over perfection and all of these things. Self belief is one of the most, if not the most important pillar on any success journey. And again, I think success is very subjective. Depends where you're at in your life, what you really are motivated by right now. Maybe it's a healing journey. Maybe it's a wealth journey. Maybe it's a relationship one. All of those can be deemed success journeys. And
yeah.
so, yes, we assess that. I love to assess their level of self worth. So, self worth is the opposite, it's an internal game. How worthy do you feel of not only the things that you have, but the things that you want to achieve? How much self respect do you have? How well do you take care of yourself? It's if self belief is you building a house, if you have enough time, energy, and effort, you believe you could build a house. Self worth is who you let in. How well do you take care of that house? People coming in and they're stomping on it with muddy boots. It's boundaries. There's a beautiful internal game that happens with worth. And so we do assess that, and then we really look at goals and then reverse engineering what kind of daily habits they need to do every day to get there. We're big on consistency. We're big on the compound effect and how we can expand and grow with the small things we do every day. And how can we make those small things sustainable in your lifestyle, in the season that you are in, so that you can do it every day, be consistent, build the compound effect, and expand into your goals.
Yeah. So it all starts with the self-awareness. Yeah.
Always.
If you don't believe it, then you can't achieve what you want.
That's
Can't
right.
get what you want.
Even in group coaching right now, so our group coaching program right now is a podcast accelerator program. So Kevin and Ellen are podcasters. They have a daily podcast. They themselves have
Daily?
daily, 7 days a week, and they each have their own. So they have one together, Next Level University, and then there's Business Growth University. Ellen does one a week of those. Podcast Growth University, they do one of those. And then we all guest on shows as well. So they're, I mean, in the thousands as far as how many podcast episodes they have done, either themselves or as a guest. They are excellent at what they do. And so we have created a podcast accelerator program. It's 12 weeks long, but the first 4 weeks are about you as the person. It's grow yourself first, then it's grow your podcast. Then the last 4 weeks are grow your business. But we teach them all of this first because you are only going to grow to the level of yourself. Especially as a podcaster, you're putting yourself out there. We want to make sure you're in alignment, you're in high self-belief, high self-worth. You're not in a martyrdom energy, you're in a, guide energy. There's so much we take them through, but we deeply believe everything in the foundation is you and your identity. So even when people come to us for podcast support, we're helping them grow themselves first, deep into self-awareness, and then we'll go from there.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like that philosophy.
Yeah.
So you also talk a lot about honoring your cyclical nature. And so speak more about that. What does that mean? How does it help us to show up differently?
Especially to show up differently. What a beautiful way to phrase that question. So I work with a lot of women, and like I said before this, my work with women was very much dedicated to their physical health, which is always attached to their mental and emotional health, let's be honest. So we would always embody all three. Stress actually was the biggest module of my program because it affects all of the above. But women especially, we are such cyclical beings. And so if men are the sun, let's say, women are the moon. So men are the same every day. They run on a 24-hour hormonal cycle. So their highs and lows, their ups and downs, all of it happens in one day. Women are different every day. We are like the moon. We're slightly different every day, and we are absolutely different week to week to week. And so knowing this, again, that power of self-awareness, knowing this allows you just to have an extra superpower tool in your toolkit to navigate yourself. So 2 weeks ago, let's say, I was on some podcasts and I was way better, genuinely, than I am today. You're my second one today as well. I'm more articulate. I'm more energetic. I'm more social. I'm feeling more symmetrical. I'm more just outwardly expressed because I'm in that middle ovulation inner summer season. So you last couple weeks ago, I crushed it. Way better than what I can give you today, genuinely. And that is wild to kind of say and point out. But could you imagine if after I got off these two podcasts, I started absolutely crapping on myself? Because it was like, okay, you were on podcasts just a couple weeks ago and you crushed. You were way better, more confident, more articulate. Your memory was better. I didn't have to ask them to repeat the questions. I had to do that on the last podcast. Oh, my memory was just like, nope. And so could you imagine if I was so down on myself, like, why was I amazing then? And why do I suck so bad now? What is wrong with me? Why do I do this? Why can't I stay consistent at something? Why can't I carry this energy all the time? Because you are literally not physically, mentally, emotionally set up to do so. You're changing. So this week that I am entering right now is very internal. It is very antisocial. It is not my most highest brain level self. Now, am I still going to come on here and do this because I'm dedicated to doing so? I love to do so. Absolutely. As women, too, if you're in a 9 to 5, if you don't control your own schedule, there are things you still have to show up for every day. And sometimes you're going to crush it. And sometimes you're going to feel like you're not. That's so normal. It's so common. So, how we can show up is just acknowledging. I don't need to come at myself with hate today. I need to come at myself with grace and understanding. Hey, I showed up. I showed up. I did the best that I could do. Again, giving your best every day does not look the same every day. Your 100% looks different every day. If I only have 50% of my regular capacity to give to you, I'm going to give you 100% of that 50% today, knowing that it's still going to look different than it did a couple weeks ago. And that's okay. So even if you're in a 9 to 5 where you actually can't control your schedule, how can you, in those moments, just acknowledge, hey, I'm actually not set up for success today, mentally, physically, emotionally. So, how can I do the best that I can do to take care of myself, take some extra moments, take some extra nourishment, get an extra cup of tea in you, whatever it is that you need to do, take your lunch break. Make sure you do that. Take some extra time, however that looks, and just acknowledge the season you're in without shame,
Yeah.
guilt, misunderstanding, and support yourself through it.
Yeah.
And so understanding yourself on this physical level is such a superpower.
Yeah. That's powerful. And I love again how you're bringing it back to just this human aspect of just honoring the space that you're in, honoring the body that you're in, honoring the season that you're in. Even thinking about it from a gender perspective, or I guess a non-gender perspective, to be very politically correct. um, but just thinking about ways to just honor yourself, honor your energy. So you're right. Some days we crush it. I'm so honored that you're here today. And so bringing all of your positive energy, your positive spirit. So when you think about women, how do they define success? How
Mhm.
can you help them to define what fulfillment is? How can you help them to define what truly is life-giving for them? Because I think that's the other thing. It's always the needle that we're chasing, the marker that we're chasing is always moving. And so how do we define success now versus when we're in 20 years down the road? Like, what is success? How do we define that? How do we, I don't know, conceptualize it?
Mhm. Yeah, I I love that. Like I said, success is so subjective. And so honoring the season you're in, understanding what that looks like, understanding what success means to you now is, yeah, a valuable skill. And then understanding what success is going to mean to you later on so that you can actually direct the now to get you there. But the now still needs to honor the season you're in. So everything I do right now is still through the lens of a mother of 2 boys who I homeschool.
How old
So
are
I'm
your
with
boys?
them 12 and 10 now. So they're getting bigger for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
A
Oh,
little
yeah.
more self-sufficient and things, but I still spend, so much of my time with them. I'm so grateful to be able to do that. I get to homeschool them. I get to, live life with them every day, and that is just my favorite thing. It's such a gift. And so I still am doing all of these things that bring me joy, fulfillment, my passion, my purpose, you know, outside of motherhood, because that also gives me all of that. But I also have to honor the season that I am so dedicated as a mother to be as present as possible with my children, while also showing them that it is really important to chase your dreams, your passion, and the things that light you up, and to work hard and be consistent. I'm navigating that duality. But I can't work as much as I will one day, but I'm laying
Yeah.
the foundation of what that looks like now. So
Yeah.
coming on these podcasts, doing, I don't take on dozens of coaching clients. I take on a handful at a time so that I can still navigate life. And eventually that's going to grow and I'm going to have the capacity to do more as my children need me less and less and less.
Yeah.
And so honoring the season you're in is definitely, okay, what are my priorities right now? And again, you as the individual, you will not believe how much we have to scrape off people's beliefs, what they think they should be doing, how they should be living, what success is, because it's all been placed on them externally, whether it be through their upbringing, through social media, anything like that. It's like, okay, but what does it mean to you? Homeschooling my children, having an acreage and chickens and those kind of things, that's my level of success right now. That's my version of success. To live out in the country and still be able to do this, absolutely. Now, are there levels I'm going to be able to expand that out? Absolutely, of what my success means to me. So, what does it mean to you right now? But where can you take that in the long term? Yes, it's lovely to do what you want to do right now, but mix it in with a bit of what am I building towards later.
Mm.
So that's what I'm currently doing. That's what I help people do. But you have to get into, okay, what are their core values? A big one is mismatched core values. They have this goal. Maybe like a really good example is Kevin and Ellen had this client and he wanted to build a dental practice and build them out and have a bunch. And he would have had to stay very local to do that. But he actually really valued travel and he didn't want to be tied down to anything. And his one of his core values was actually freedom.
Mm.
Those don't match.
Yeah,
So
that's
he would
really hard.
never have been fulfilled or have been able to put all of himself into this thing. And so he was able to pivot and build a career that allowed a lot of travel, allowed mobility and freedom to do what he wanted to do rather than tied to a building.
Yeah.
And then we have people who are dying to be entrepreneurs, to build their own business. And they think there's this lens of if I am my own boss, I don't have to work as much. I don't have to, like, I'm in charge of my own schedule and things. Entrepreneurship is like 24/7. If you
Yeah.
have clients, they're all your bosses. You are doing stuff for them, especially when you're trying to build momentum, build credibility, do all of these things. Now we've got social media. Everyone has to have a social media presence. It is a full-time job and more. And so we have people come in that want to do these things or they think they want to do these things. We're like, okay, do you want to pick your children up from school? Oh, yes, every day. Okay, then let's make sure you understand what realistically that is going to take so that you can still do these things. And maybe let's change the goal a little bit.
Yeah. So being realistic.
Being realistic for sure. In timelines, though, I think we constantly overestimate what we can do in a day
Oh, yeah.
and
We'll pile all the
underestimate,
things
right?
on.
We just, oh, I can get your to-do list at the beginning of the day has like 20 things on it. You're like, absolutely. One thing goes wrong, and it's like, well, that's the day now. And days are so reactive, especially if you have kids, pets, household, anything, you're dealing with another person in your life, so reactive. It's not just about you. And so there's only so much we can control. But so we overestimate constantly what we can do in a day, but we underestimate how much we can do in 3, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And so if we have an accurate timeline as well, that is so powerful for people too, because they can start to see a realistic picture of something versus when they see someone on the internet that they think all of a sudden went from 0 to a 10 in their career, when in reality, we just can't see the decade previous of the things that they were doing every day.
Yeah. And so that ties into hope. Just like there is something better if you put in
Yeah.
the work
If
now.
you put in the work, definitely. And if you can give yourself the humility to say, okay, this is what I want eventually. And if I start small and if I start doing these little things every day, I'm guaranteed to eventually get there.
Yeah. Versus if you don't do anything, if you don't do anything different, you're guaranteed to be
Guaranteed
stuck.
not.
10 years from
That's
now,
right.
you're guaranteed to be stuck.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We're all going to arrive at some sort of future destination. How much control would you like to have over that? What would you like that to look like? I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for how much control we actually have over that
Mm.
with enough time, energy, and intention.
As we start to wrap up, I'm just curious about that control. How do people lean into that or maybe let go of it so they can get more of what they
Both.
want? Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
It's both.
Yeah.
The circle of control is actually very small. The circle of control that we actually have. So if you can picture a target, and in the center, the smallest circle is what you can control. And all it is what you say, think, do, believe. That's pretty much it. It's you. That's it. That's all you have actual control over. The next layer is influence. We do have influence over people, but we don't have control over people. We have influence over situations, but it's very rare if that situation involves anything outside of just us that we have full control over that situation. And then you have the outer layer, which is the bigger layer. And it is all of the things that we actually can't control. And so many of us are fighting for those things to be in our circle of control, and they just can't be. So we're putting a lot of time, energy, effort, sometimes money into the things that we can't control. And then we are upset that we're overwhelmed. We don't have enough time, however it is that you are feeling like your life is going. A lot of it can be put into, okay, am I trying to control things that I have no control over? And am I not taking control over the things that I do? So it's both. We need to let go of the things we can't control. We need to really cherish and discern the things we want to influence, the people that we want to influence. And we really got to
Yeah.
double down on the things that we can control, which is us, our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings, and again, feelings come and go, and that's a deeper layer, as you know. But it's our actions. We have
Mm,
control over our actions every day. And so if you are struggling to take an action every day that you know you want to take, you want to create it into a daily habit, you're so called to do this thing, but you can't seem to get it done every day, that does not mean that thing is not for you. It does not mean the end goal is not for you. It just means you maybe haven't set yourself up for success yet at the level you're at now, in the season you're at now. You need to set it up with humility. Where are you actually at currently? What is your level of belief in your capability of doing that thing? Is it low? Start small.
yeah.
You need to make it sustainable. Sustainability is the key point there. If you can't do it every day yet, drop the timeline, drop the habit a little bit, bring it down so that you can build into the identity of someone who can get it done at this level, then build into the next. This is all we're doing in the background with consistency. You're just building in an identity to do something so often that it's harder to not do it than to do it. But you need
Mm,
to start small to be able to do that. So sustainability is key. Next, it needs to be adaptable. We just talked about how days are so reactive. We can only have so much proactivity in a life that
yeah.
involves other beings. It's very
Yeah.
reactive. And so, again, you need an adaptability moment. You need a bit of grace. You need to be able to pivot. You didn't get that thing done in the morning. Okay, what is your check the box version? The bare minimum of that thing that you can do at night. Even though you're tired, even though it's been a full day, you do not need to give it 100%. Like I said, we don't have 100% to give every day. It looks different every
Yeah.
day. So what is your bare minimum check the box of this habit? Because it's more important that you do it half ass than not do it at all. I will bet on anybody any day that can give me consistent 30% days rather than spotty 100 days. The person who can give consistent 30% days will win over time, just based on the compound effect.
Wow. And just
Last
being
one is grit.
consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last one is grit. Under consistency, it's grit. Sometimes you kind of just have to have that F your feelings kind of moment and just get it done. And what's beautiful is if you really didn't want to do it and you did it anyways, you're actually doubling down on the self belief points in your identity.
So it's affirming yourself and your goals. Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. So, as we wrap up today, any other words of wisdom? You dropped so many gems today, even just sharing your personal story. Hopefully, that listeners will align with that and just find identity and truth with that. Because I think that's just so vulnerable. I think that's the other thing while we're trying to do all the things, we're just scared to be vulnerable. We're scared to let ourselves just show up, all imperfect as it is, and just be and honor that. And so yeah, what are some ways that we can take some of the things that you said today and use that to apply in our everyday lives? Or what are some just words of wisdom that you would like to share with the listeners?
Mm. Just that self awareness is genuinely everything. The more you know about you, the more you're going to be able to set yourself up for success in anything you want to do. If you know what your skills are, if you know where you're lacking and you need to grow to achieve that thing, if you know that you're a cyclical being and there's going to be down days and you just need to check the box someday and that's okay, there's so much in there. Knowing about you is going to help you grow and expand. you. So take the time to get to know you and know what drives you, but also what's holding you back. And understand what your beliefs are, your values are. What are those affirmations that you really need to affirmations? Aspirations,
Well, I
not
guess both.
affirmations. Affir it is because it's at the end of the day, it's always you against you. And so the more you can understand about yourself and how it relates to your goals, you are going to be able to actually set yourself up for success with the habits it's going to take you to achieve the goals. And just start small. Permission to start small. Embrace the unsexy fundamentals that are small actions compounding over time guarantees your success.
Yeah, yeah. Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you, Amy. So again, thank you, Amy, for joining the Daryl podcast today. I'd love for you to share like your contact information, some of the ways that people can connect with you if they want to take their dreams, their goals to the next level, as is your company's title, which is so cool. So yeah, how can people connect with you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's just at Amy Lenius. My messages are open anytime. If you want to talk habits, consistency, maybe you want to see where you are not creating a sustainable goal, and I can help you break it down. I love doing that, helping people break things down into small bite-sized pieces where they feel and can see that it is attainable. I think that's really important to just dive into those small pieces and how we can check them off every day. So just at Amy Lenius. Social media is really easy. We also do have a daily self awareness Facebook group. I run that group. I'm in there every day and I'm in there asking you a self awareness question every day. It's called Next Level Nation. It's a free community on Facebook. And anyone who is welcome or anyone who wants to grow that little bit, that 1% each day or that 0.01% each day, just diving into your self awareness, this is a great space to do that.
Awesome, awesome. I love the ways that people can connect with you, and it's one, the barrier to entry is free.
Yes, of
And
course.
if you want to take it another level, then you could look into the coaching programs. But I love that the barrier to entry is as small as people can get into. So that's awesome. So I think that's sometimes the biggest barrier is like, oh, I can't afford it. And then if you
It
make it
is.
affordable with a free group, well, I don't have the time. All right. At some point, stop with the excuses. Just get it done. Just show
Yeah.
up as you're messy, unhinged, and just do the work. And so, yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I have loved our conversation today. I feel like the flow was just so super sweet and so super conversational and just cool, relatable, human, just very normal. As normal can be. So, well, thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. Listeners, thank you for tuning in today. Keep living, keep loving, and keep daring well. Take care, guys. God bless. Bye.